Good evening. It is Friday night. Welcome to Driven AF Recovery. It's just Steven and I tonight. I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to have a bunch of guests coming on, and then probably the following episodes as much as possible. Got a bunch of people lined up, so that'll be cool. Tonight, we would like to talk about what Driven AF Recovery actually means. It obviously a cool sounding title, at least I thought. But it was more than that when this got started. It was about a lot of things, and it's a lot of types of different things put together. So we're going to share what that means to us tonight. So,
yeah,
Steven.
Yeah. People always ask me, if I work a 12-step program or what kind of program I work, basically. So that's what kind of prompted the idea for this video, is to kind of explain how we do recovery, because I feel like sometimes people look at me sideways when I tell them that I'm not an active participant, in a 12-step recovery. And that doesn't mean I don't find value in it. That just means I have taken things from a lot of different recovery programs and kind of made my own. And Maddie has been kind of like a mentor to me. I've learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot from the counselors I've worked with. I've learned a lot from the other programs and other ways of recovery, and kind of taking it. So that's kind of what prompted the idea for this topic, is to kind of show people that, like Maddie said, Driven AF is cool, sounds cool, but it's more than that. This is more than just a YouTube channel to try to help people. This is our way of life. This is how we do recovery. So if you guys like what we're talking about, we encourage you to try it, maybe add it to whatever program you work, and hopefully you get some benefit. So Maddie, what does Driven AF Recovery mean and look like for you, brother?
Well, the reason I started it off with that title is because that's how I do shit. I mean, you know me, obviously. A lot of the people that watch this probably do, a lot of people don't. But I live my life Driven AF, basically.
Yeah, you're an intense dude.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm an extremist. I'm intense. I mean, I catch a lot of criticism for the schedule I keep from week to week and day to day, but it's how I choose to do shit. That alone to me was driven. Obviously, I'm in recovery, and this channel was about recovery and how, really the group thing. When I've started the groups, and this is what I talk about when I do groups at the rehab, when we do the groups at the rehab, when Brooke and I now do them here, is going at recovery with a purpose, and that's driven as far as I'm concerned, not just to stay fucking sober, that we've talked about before. That really never seems to be enough. I'm not going to get high. It's a great start, but it's not going to keep you right, I don't think. At least not me.
Oh, no, definitely.
Not most of the people we see, so I thought it was something I should probably try to put out there a little bit. Driven to the AF Recovery, I mean, I just got grateful tattooed on my head, but there's discipline and purpose, which kind of mentioned in a video a long time ago, which is probably something we'll do again and touch on a little more in depth. But
For sure.
Those things are what I take my drive and put it towards. Discipline allows me to do the shit I need to do every day, whether I feel like it or whether I don't, which is something we talk about all the time too, to go towards the purpose I have. And without being grateful for the shit I already have, I will lose sight of the purpose, and I won't give a shit about the discipline. So it all works together in a trio for me, which is why that means so much to me, and it's shit I never let myself forget. Driven AF comes from a lot of shit. I mean, I'm a big reader. I'm a big podcast listener. All kinds of people. Jordan Peterson, Jocko Willink, David Goggins, Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. Fuck, I could go on and on and on. There's a million books I've read. All these people have contributed to my recovery, and they're all driven people, as far as I'm concerned. They're all succeeding in life with the shit that is their purpose. And a lot of them, it is to help other people, along with, obviously, they've all made a lot of money and been successful in business and other things. But they all had something I wanted, and that was to do better at life. And I figured part of my recovery, and what big part of Driven AF recovery means to me anyway, is taking the people that you see in life, and they can be people you know in life, or like these guys, I don't know them personally, obviously, but they all had shit I wanted. They all had ideas that when I listened to it, I was like, fuck, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe I should try to put that shit into my own life, and I would do that. That's also in tandem with, I did 90 and 90 when I left from my sober house. AA is not a program I dogmatically follow. Obviously, you know that, most people. And I'm going to caveat this with I have nothing against it. It works great for a lot of people in and of itself. It just wasn't for me to follow. I'm kind of an independent thinker, and I don't like following things to a T, which I did with 75 Hard, but that's another whole story. That was tough for me to follow what somebody else said. It honestly was. It made a huge fucking difference in my life, and I'm glad I did it. But with the 12 steps, I practice all that in my daily life because it makes me a better person, makes me a better man, makes me better for my fellow human, and to give back. And that's a huge part of the program as far as what I see out of it. I don't know a ton about Smart Recovery except that it's outside of the 12-step program. I like the existential approach that they take here where we went to treatment because it has purpose wrapped entirely up in it. Finding something that you actually want out of life, not just staying sober, but like a career, a business, helping people. There's a million things. For me, it is like my ironworking career because I love it. My businesses because I love what I do. Doing the groups we do because I fucking love doing that as much as I love anything, honestly. My family because I love my family. And any other business thing I take on or thing to help our community, those are the things that are my purpose and drive me to do all the shit I do. Just get up at fucking 2:30 or 3 a.m. every day and start, and sometimes go till 10. A lot of times that's every fucking day except the weekend. If I'm off ironworking, if I'm still ironworking, I'm still doing it those days. But I do it, and it doesn't burn me out because I'm fucking inspired. Because I have something I'm driving towards. And do I recommend that kind of schedule for everybody? Fuck no. I'm just sharing what I do and why I do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think honestly, like I've learned a lot from you. You know that, but we don't do things exactly the same. You know, we both agree on a lot of the things, and everything that Maddie just spoke of are things that I practice as well. I have worked the 12-step program a couple different times, and I learned a lot, and there's a lot of value there. I just, for me, didn't believe that it would be the thing that kept me sober. I felt like I needed more than just that. So I kind of like what Maddie said is I apply the 12 steps and 12 principles in my life every day. You know, I know I have control once I know I don't have control once I touch alcohol or drugs. You know, when I reflect every night, you know what I mean? I have made amends for a lot of the things I've done and still working to do others, you know, and I try to help others every day. You know, I work on cleaning up my defects or my faults. I strive to become better, you know, that's something that I take to heart. You know, I do have a higher power. I do believe in what I call God, and that's just me. I don't talk about it a lot. It's not something I like preach to other people. I just understand that if there wasn't something bigger than me, that I would probably have been dead a long time ago. And then that kind of goes with like my purpose and what drives me a lot is like I know I'm still here for a reason. Yeah. We've lost a lot of people that we're close to in this recovery community alone. You know, it's
outside of it even.
Yeah,
iron workers I know. I mean, a lot of people.
So for me, what Driven AF means is striving to be better. But the first part of that was what Maddie talked about, and what we talked about last week, man. It's like I had to find out why and have some kind of purpose in my life, because I felt like that was something I lacked, you know. And not everybody feels like that, but that's something how I felt, you know. And I knew it couldn't just be my daughter. And like I've said 1,000 times, it's a big part of it. But like, I don't want to just be remembered as a heroin addict or a crackhead. That's something we talked about today.
Legacy,
you know. I wanna be remembered as a guy who battled through that and came out on the other side and showed people a better way and helped people get through the same things that he went through. So that's a big part of my purpose. So, you know, I don't think we really do things as differently as people think we do. You know what I mean? We pretty much practice and live by what they teach you in the 12-step program.
Yeah.
And
just do it not
you know,
in a way that isn't as structured as they want you to do it.
Yeah, and same with Smart Recovery too. The little I do know about Smart Recovery is that, you know, like you take responsibility for your life, and that's what we do. You know what I mean? Celebrate Recovery, which I just learned a little bit about a few weeks ago.
I did it for several months way back. It's a good program.
Yeah, like I have nothing against all these. I've kind of, it's more faith-based, and Like I said, I'm not like super huge into that, but I do understand how powerful that can be, and I do take it into account and practice it in my life, you know. But the biggest thing for me in my recovery is working on myself, right? First and foremost, like finding out why I kept going back out there and addressing those underlying mental issues that I had and working on those, which, you know, they're still not perfect, but they're better controlled today than they ever have been. And then having some kind of purpose or meaning to my life, it drives me to be better. You know, when I think about like, oh man, like I don't know if I can do this, or like the thought, you know, a craving comes in my head, or an urge, I think of like, you know, if I go out and get high, for one, I could die. For two, even if I don't die, I could lose everything that I've worked for and everything I'm working for. And for three, I wouldn't be able to continue to do the things I love, you know, and one of the things I love is helping people and coming here to help people, doing these groups and working with the other program that I work with to help people. I really enjoy doing that. It gives my life meaning, it gives my life purpose.
Let me ask you something. Touch on, you said you're working on yourself, and I agree entirely with that. Would you say, and I know I feel this way, but I'm going to ask you, would you feel working on yourself to make you the best you can be at everything you'd want to do makes you better for everybody else? Before your fucking self works, none of that other shit's going to be as good as it could or should be either.
Oh, absolutely. You know, like that's, you know, when I think about like doing it, you know, as from a standpoint of being a father, like that's what it's all about. I want to be a better human being. I want to be a better version of myself and the best version of myself possible, because I want my daughter to look at me and like, you know, like in awe, like, you know what I mean?
You're the hero.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and exactly. And if I continue to learn, and that's another huge thing for me, is like we talk about gratitude a lot when we do these groups, but I think it's being able to put my ego aside and say, like, I need to continue to learn. And sometimes that, you know, it's hard for me to do at points, but like I continue to learn because I'm continuing to try to be better. I don't know everything. There's a lot of things I don't know shit about, but I've made a lot of great changes that have helped me a lot, and I like to share those with people, and I like to stay open-minded and continue to learn. Even if it's from somebody who maybe I think I know better than it. You know, like I used to be the kind of person that would kind of just like tune them out and wait for my chance to talk. You know what I mean?
That's like you.
That's I did that a lot. You know what I mean? Like, all right, you done? You done? Okay, good. Here's what I got.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
And that doesn't do me any good, and that normally doesn't do the other person or the other situation I'm in or whatever any good. So I continue to try to learn, man, because that's how you become better. You know, and I'm willing to learn, and that's something that's new to me. So I have to practice that, and I have to like check myself every now and then. You know, with everything, it's a process, man. Like we talked about in the commitment to change video, or the commitment video, it's a process. All this stuff is a process. If I can continue how to learn and continue how to focus on being a better person, I can continue to be able to help people better. And I can continue to have my purpose and my meaning evolve, and maybe do that on a larger platform eventually, or do it in multiple treatment centers, or multiple jails, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. Like you said,
There's
it's
no
always
limit.
changing. You never know. You know, I never thought I'd be doing what we're doing now.
No, me either.
You know what I mean? But the fact that we're continue to willing to learn and continue to try to get better, and continue to try to help other people, and learn from our mistakes and correct our thinking and our behaviors and all this stuff that we talk about in all these videos, it's all part of the growth process, and it kind of continues to open up new opportunities. Which
Learning, what you brought up, is probably one of the biggest parts of what driven AF recovery means to me. If I don't continually learn and then apply the shit I learn, nothing changes. For me, anyway. And that has been one of the massive things for me, and self-awareness, but I think we're going to save that for when Brooke joins us.
Yeah.
I'll
That's a
elaborate
huge,
later.
like you said, that definitely is a huge part of Driven AF recovery, but that just goes into everything we're talking about.
I had to learn that,
learning.
though.
Exactly. That's what I was just
I had
gonna
no
say.
idea how to be self-aware.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to fucking have a be disciplined. Kind of an idea what gratitude was, but I didn't know how to fucking practice it. Like purpose, even. I had to learn what these things truly meant, and then actually put it into fucking play.
Yeah, for
You
me,
know?
for me, it's the exact same thing. Every fucking topic we've ever done a video on are things that I knew nothing about like 2 years ago.
Right.
Nothing about. And these are things that, like, when they were first brought to me, I either was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, or like, yeah, I want to do that, but like you said, I didn't know how. I had to learn how to incorporate and apply all these things to my life and my recovery, and they have helped me out immensely. You know, I may not have 10 years of sobriety, but I've learned a lot in the, you know, over a year that I have, and I've made so many changes, and just because I've done a lot of good and I've accomplished a lot of my goals, like, doesn't mean I think I know everything or I think I'm better than anybody. It means that, like, I need to continue to learn and continue to progress and continue to do better. And the minute, you know, we always hear it too, the minute you think you got it is the minute you're done, you know?
I actually said the words, I don't know shit about shit today at work. And I've been an iron worker for 22 years. And I've never done a lot with any of what I'm doing right now, like trimming a pre-engineered building. And the guy was teaching me shit. And I'm like, yeah, man, thank you. Like, I need to know this shit. I don't know how to do it, or I don't know how to do it well. And he's like, wow, man, most apprentices are like, fuck you, I know what I'm doing. Like, no, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so I appreciate the fact that you're willing to teach me at this point. But like 22 years in, I know most of it really fucking well, where I could run the work easily, but I didn't know this.
But I think that's like,
I was humble enough to be like, yeah, I don't know how to do this shit.
yeah,
Show me.
that's a huge part of like our, you know, what we call our driven as fuck lifestyle is, you know, like it may sound cool or sound badass or whatever, but it's more than just like a cool phrase or a cool slogan or catchphrase or whatever the fuck you want to call it. You know what I mean? Like, that actually means that, like, we're humble, we learn, we're trying to be better, we're driven. You know, I've actually had people tell me I was motivated before, more recently, and ask kind of like what was behind it, and it was like, dude, like it's the desire to want to be better, and the desire to learn more, and the desire to keep growing, and you know, I have a lot of visions and a lot of goals, and like I said, I've accomplished a good amount of them, way more than I thought I would at this point. But I have a lot more, you know what I mean? And that's where that supposed motivation comes from. Although when I wake up in the morning, I don't feel very motivated.
I call it
but like
inspired.
Yeah.
If you're inspired, the motivation can be there or not, but you're still gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, that's a much better word.
I stole it from somebody I fucking listened to, but I don't remember who to give credit to, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I don't really like the term motivation, because most of the days I'm by nature a pretty fucking lazy person. Most of the days I wake up and I don't want to get out of bed, and I don't want to go to work, and I don't want to. Sometimes I want to be an irresponsible fucking loser and lay around and sleep all day. But I am inspired. You know what I mean? I'm inspired. I want better for myself. I want better for my daughter. I want to show people that it's possible to do better when you came from being a fucking crackhead, heroin addict, fucking homeless, sleeping in your car, sleeping on the streets in the Blue Line in Chicago, junkie. You know what I mean? Like, that it's possible. That if you're in that position, it doesn't always have to be like that. You know what I mean? And that's something when I share the tidbits of my story, when I intro myself to the new guys in our groups, I always share a little bit of my background. And that's not to say like, oh yeah, like I did this and that, like to try to brag or sound cool. No, it's to show other people that, like, it doesn't matter how bad you were. It doesn't matter if you think you were the worst heroin addict or the worst meth head or the worst crackhead in the world that did things so unspeakable that nobody else could imagine. It's possible that you can change. That's why I share that shit, and I think that's kind of what sums up the Driven AF way. Is
that's like, usually the only reason I share any of what my life's like now either, because I don't like even bringing it up because I feel like it's
people think you're just trying to brag or show off or flex.
I will do it if it seems to serve the purposes that, like, I was here and now I'm here, and motherfucker, any man can do this, any woman can do this, any person can do this. If you fucking decide to do this.
And people, no matter if you're talking about like things you've done or things you have now, some people are going to interpret that as flexing or bragging or whatever. But it's, you know what, fine, you interpret it your way. The point is, like you said, if it's in the context of, hey, I'm trying to show you where I was and where I am now, and that you can fucking do it too, then it serves a good purpose, and then I'm all for it. Otherwise, I don't need to tell you what I've done or what I have or what I've accomplished. You know what I mean? If it's in a context of inspiring somebody else that they can do it too, then I'll absolutely do it.
I just hope like our actions show where we're at, what we're really doing. Because that shit doesn't
matter.
Mean that much.
It really doesn't matter.
It's fun and it's cool to have for me because I enjoy like certain things, but it's not really what makes any fucking difference to like how I feel about my life at all.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, you know, in a nutshell, like I use the way we do things as my program. But do I believe it could benefit somebody who already works a program? Absolutely. You can add it to your arsenal because, like, like I was saying, like you can always get better, you can always learn more, and if you're doing something that's working, you can still add something to it to make your life maybe even better, or give your life more meaning, or make your life, more fuller, or whatever, or if you're somebody who is like, man, I've tried SMART, I've tried, Refuge Recovery, I've tried Celebrate Recovery, I've tried the 12 steps, and none of them working. Well, maybe we can help you out with that, and we can talk more deeply. We always appreciate the interactions anyway. So if you're somebody that's struggling to find a program that you found, purpose and meaning and fulfillment of your life in, reach out to any of us, man. We'd love to sit down and talk with you guys and kind of share what's worked for us and what's helped us.
Yeah, and share, what's helping you. Maybe you can help us. Fuck.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing. Why I always love talking to people that work different programs is because, like I said, I'm always willing to learn. Just because I did something and I didn't think that it was like my destination or my path, doesn't mean I don't think there's any good in that path. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's still great things in all the paths that people take, and I love talking to other people that do things differently because I love learning and applying those kind of things to my life, man. And I think that's a beautiful thing about the way we do recovery is like we're always learning and adding new shit and
Open
learning
to
from other people.
everything.
Yeah, we're always open to getting new information and finding new ways of doing things and finding new ways to be better and learning from everybody, man. Whether it's somebody who, just got out of treatment and has, 31 days clean, or somebody who's currently going through detox, but maybe they say something that I'm like, wow, yeah, I never thought of it like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, everybody has something to contribute.
Yeah.
If you're open to that shit.
Yeah. And so that's why I like the way that I do things, me and Maddie do things pretty similarly. But I mean, I'm sure there's some differences if we were to like really break it all down.
I'm sure. But that's a nice thing, man. Like
You're a lot more disciplined than I am. That's a big difference.
I've been at it longer. Give it time, man.
That's true. That's true.
I know a lot of people in programs, like people I've met at the sober houses, people I've met in this whole journey that do things entirely different than me. That are great friends, and we share ideas and we respect each other, and that's fucking great.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that also fucking get militant and hate every motherfucker and ain't doing it exactly how they do it. That I don't typically understand, but I don't understand that mindset in general.
Yeah.
So, but I could be wrong.
That's what I like about the people I keep close, man, is they're open to hearing other people, and there's a lot of people in my life who I respect greatly who we have differences of opinion on stuff, and that doesn't change how we interact or feel about each other. I mean, there's many ways to do things, there's many ways to go about things, and I'm always willing and open to learn new ways or take it into account. And, I like having people in recovery. Actually, I think it benefits me more, knowing people in recovery that work all kinds of different programs.
Sure.
Because there's all kinds of different perspectives and all kinds of different conversations to be had and all kinds of different things to learn about how people deal with things or how people see things. And I think in recovery, I'm looking to give myself the best chance possible. And if you're in recovery, I'm sure you probably feel the same way, like you want to give yourself the best chance, right? So for me, I feel like the best chance is to be open to everything. You know what I mean? I'm not closed-minded to doing things anyway. And I'll sit down and listen and have a conversation with anybody, no matter how differently they do things than I do, or maybe they even think that the way I do things is retarded.
That's where the part of the driven part comes from me too, because most of these people I listen to and read aren't recovering addicts necessarily. Yeah. Some have had demons or been around the demons. I know, I'm not even gonna get into, but you can apply shit from business, from life, from success in general to recovery and to your life. That's part of where the driven part came for me too, because honestly, I think reading is phenomenal. Audiobooks, if you don't like to read. If you don't like any of that shit, there's podcasts, fuck it. But there's ways you can learn shit about life in general that you can apply to your recovery and everything else. So don't have to keep it limited to just all recovery literature, all recovery this. You can apply shit from other parts of life to your recovery and vice versa.
That's a really good point, and I didn't even think about that when we were talking about this topic, but that's what I did, thanks to you early on, was I took the podcasts I listened to, I'll just to name a few, the Jocko, the David Goggins, the Joe Rogan, the Andy Frisella, the Ed Milet, you know what I mean, all these guys and stuff, and they weren't talking about recovery, but I can apply it to my recovery, and I can apply it to being a better version of myself, which helps me in recovery. You know?
I mean, Rogan and Russell Brand did it pretty good.
Yeah.
And the recovery was definitely part of that. And it was interesting as fuck, but that's like not the rule at all.
Right, that's exactly.
That's a great podcast, so if you ever check it out.
But I think you know what, that's a really good point, because I think that was a huge thing for me, is like I didn't want my life to be like just reading, you know, recovery literature and meetings and all recovery. I wanted a lot of things outside of my life on how to be a better person that I could incorporate and apply to my recovery, which is what I've done, and I've really liked the results of it, you know. And that was something that Mandy kind of turned me on to, was all the guys I just mentioned. Is I would listen to them on the way to work to kind of try to set the tone mentally and get me in a good frame of mind for the day. And I started thinking, you know, as I was listening to these things, I was like, well, yeah, I can kind of apply that and relate that in recovery. And, you know, if I look at it like in a form of recovery, what they're talking about, you know, then it completely, you know, is valid for what I'm going through, you know, and just stuff like that.
I mean, it's just like in the group we did tonight, man, that zero options mentality video has nothing to do with recovery.
Right.
It's fucking all over the place in that minute.
Yeah.
You know what
exactly.
I mean? And all those guys sitting there heard it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're thinking about. Man, that applies to fucking everything.
And I think that's a great thing about listening about like positive and inspirational stuff and stuff on how to better yourself, is if you're somebody that's in recovery, that can help you so much, because it's all valid and it's all relatable in recovery, you know what
And
I
I'll
mean?
get your mindset in a better place. That's why I started to do it, like on my way to work. And I mean, fuck, 3.5 years in, I'm still doing that every day on the way to work.
Yeah.
Whether it's an audio book or a podcast or just something to make my fucking mind right. Because typically, even though I lift before work, this drive to work's where I start getting like, fuck this, I'd rather do this. Or fuck this, I'd rather go home. Or if I put something like that on, it kind of redirects my mental state into like, all right, go be great at what you do right now.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. I think, you know, that's something that I didn't even think about when I was thinking about like what Driven AF means to me, is, you know, like just not being 24/7 focused on recovery, but I've become more obsessed with how to become a better version of myself. And, you know, we talk in recovery community a lot about the obsession, you know. I don't want my life to be recovery and, you know, addiction 24 hours a day.
That's all you think about.
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but yeah, then I feel like, you know, like that's all I'm concentrated on. I listen to this stuff, and then when I'm talking about recovery to somebody like Maddie or doing a group, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, like today, like I had like a light bulb moment when I did the group, and I was like, oh yeah, that definitely works in recovery if you think about it like that, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's a huge part of it for me, is listening to stuff to try to become a better version of myself, and then taking that and then applying it when I'm, you know, thinking about recovery or struggling with something that has to do with recovery.
And then
or
teaching it
addiction.
to other people.
Exactly, and then
They're
sharing it with
struggling
other
with
guys.
shit.
And I'm like, hey, I learned this today, and it may not have anything to do with recovery or addiction outright, but this is how I think about it to apply it to that. And they're like, oh, fuck yeah, that makes sense, you know?
Right.
Like, it's pretty cool.
You
It's
can
pretty
like
cool
bridge the
feeling.
gap
Yeah.
for people.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I listen to this shit and I hear the real life application to it, but I hear the recovery shit in everything.
Yeah.
Because it's
Because that's
part
where
of
your
it.
head's at. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. It's a part of who we are now. So
Just some things, man. You know, like everybody out there, if you never tried it, see what you think. You know, give it a shot. Maybe it'll give you some ideas on. You know, we all got different things we're trying to do in places we're trying to go, but we definitely don't all have the answers.
yeah.
So
Definitely. So hope that helped you guys at all. You know, if you can apply it to your recovery, or if you're struggling to find a program to work, maybe you can, you know, contact us or reach out, and we can kind of share more in depth of exactly how we got
let's
started.
throw that shit out again. There is a video on it since it's been a while.
Yeah.
There's Brothers in Arms. It's a men's recovery group on Facebook. There's a bunch of women's recovery and mixed recovery. That's just one that we are a part of from our group here. There's obviously our channel here for everybody. There is an Instagram page. It is at drivenafrecovery_22 for anyone, for men and women. My information is Matthew McCullough, MCCULLOUGH on Facebook, and Reverend_Body Vandal CEO on Instagram. I post stories and shit on everything. It's generally recovery applicable. Sometimes it's directly about that, sometimes it ain't, but you know, just my thoughts, what's on my heart and mind every day, and kind of share what I'm learning. So
Yeah, and if you guys wanna, you know, message me personally, or if you need something, you need help in anything, I'm always willing to help, man. The Instagram is StephenB596, that's Stephen with a PH, and then the Facebook is my full name, which is Stephen, again, with a PH, Bartolone, Bartolone. You know, send me a message, man, if you need anything, if you just want somebody to talk to, or if you need, you know, resources or help getting into treatment or detox or whatever, or like I said, man, you're just going through something and you need an ear, feel free to message
or you
me.
want to discuss ideas, man, I'll message with you.
Yeah,
You know, I'm always about fucking learning shit or sharing shit. So.
definitely. Definitely.
So that's it. We got guests coming, I think, weekly for a while. The guys from our recovery community, some guys from my ironworking community that are sober and been sober, most of them longer than me, actually. Some other people from Brothers in Arms that are probably going to come out. So we're going to have guests and talk about our topics, you know, and probably pick stuff that those people would like to talk about.
Definitely.
But it'll be applicable to everyone, to us and to you, hopefully. Let us know what you think in the comments. You know, let us know if you want to hear about something. We'll try to address it in a video coming up.
For sure.
And I hope everyone has a great week. As always, pay it forward, help the next guy. Let's make the world a little better place, and show people what us recovering people are worth and can do.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hope you guys got something from this video, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Let's try this. Hang loose. Yeah, I'm doing it the old-fashioned way.